like, what's wrong with your voice? And it's like, what do you mean, what's wrong with my voice? And it's like back and forth. And so it just sounds a little serious. I think it's the perfect amount of serious.
Ashley Victoria Robinson coming to you live from the Popverse here at Emerald City Comic Con, and I am here with the absolute stud and the legend from What We Do in the Shadows and Harley Quinn Season 3, Harvey Guillen. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I am doing so well, so much better now. How has your Emerald City Comic Con been?
You know what? It's been so great. Everyone's been so friendly and wonderful, and the city's so stunning, so it's a perfect venue for a Comic Con.
And you have had an amazing last 3 weeks or so. I want to start by asking you about the Esquire piece. It is so personal and so beautiful. What made you want to tell that story now?
I think it was just aligned with the idea that Guillermo was having his coming out moment, and I was reflecting on my personal experience coming out as a queer person, and I actually wrote that together with my sister. So we kind of sat down, and I kind of just told her everything that had happened, and some of the stuff I think was kind of new as well. So the information was kind of cathartic and therapeutic at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So writing it down with her and putting it to pen and paper was kind of therapeutic, but also very much like I wanted to see if anyone would read into it and want to know what it's like to be that kind of kid in school who's, picked on or bullied, and we should teach children to lead with empathy and to be accepting of others. So it was more of a, let's put it down and see if it resonates with someone, if it helps somebody. And it did, and apparently, we had so many people reach out who said they're just about to come out to their parents or their family, or that they just came out and this really inspired them. So for something that was so personal that I didn't like to share for so long, I just had to let that go and realize that if it helps somebody, then it wasn't in vain.
That's so lovely. And with that in mind, will we see more writing from you, or maybe the team of you and your sister, fiction or nonfiction, in the future?
I hope so. I keep telling my sister she's an amazing writer. She wrote her first movie when she was in high school, and it won the International Children's Film Festival in Chicago. And so I keep telling her, keep writing. And she's an amazing writer. So I hopefully can convince her to, partner up with us. So we're thinking of maybe writing a children's book. So we're looking into that.
Oh, you heard it here first. That's so amazing. You also had Harley Quinn Season 3, which came out 2-3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. What is it like to play the hottest character in the DC universe?
I mean, they joked around. I think Out Magazine was joking that I was typecast just because he's known for his best acids. And so it was just typecasting. And I just said, where did you get that idea? But I was like, whatever. Yeah.
Your Instagram followers know that the showing is strong.
Yeah, and I really do like the idea that I've joined the DC world with, Harley Quinn being kind of simultaneously at the same time, because I also shot Blue Beetle, which comes out next year, and it's also DC. So being part of the DC family, but specifically with Nightwing, which there's only, a handful of Nightwings that have been, privileged enough to play the role. I'm really lucky and glad that the director and the producer and everyone who's behind the creative team has trusted me to play this new version of Nightwing.
And how did you find Dick Grayson's voice? Because your Dick Grayson is very different from Batman the Animated Series or Young Justice.
I think I wanted to find a combination. I think when they asked me to send a sample of what I think, Dick's voice would be, Nightwing's voice would be, I needed to incorporate what his, relationship was with Batman. And so with Bruce, and we know that signature voice so well with Batman that I think that he idolizes him so much that it would be a little bit hint of him, in there. So that deepness, it's like, and there's a scene when they first meet again, and they're like, what's wrong with your voice? And it's like, what do you mean, what's wrong with my voice? And it's like back and forth. It just sounds a little serious. I think it's the perfect amount of serious. And it's like, because he's going head to head with him now. He's like, I'm not your sidekick. I'm not your boy wonder. I'm your equal. I'm just as good as you are. And he's like, I'm still the best. Just like, so it's kind of like they're going head to head. But he's also still very young and very emo. And it's just like, and so I needed to incorporate the voice to have both those things where he goes from very low into very drastic. And I was like, I'm going to kill myself. It's just like, he has to be hilarious that way. So it's been so fun to play.
So you evoked Blue Beetle first. So I want to know, what came first, Harley Quinn or Blue Beetle?
Well, we started production on Harley Quinn before Blue Beetle because animation, as we know, takes a second. And so we started the season pretty think it was last year that we started the first episode that we introduced Nightwing. So it did come first. So I became part of the DC family with Nightwing, which is very befitting, and so I'm appreciative. But also now get to be a part of the squad with the live action, and it's gonna be so good. Blue Beetle is gonna be so good. The script is amazing, and the director is amazing, and we have such an amazing cast. So I'm really excited for everyone to see it next summer.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, is there anything that fans should be looking out for in Blue Beetle? Anything you can tease us with?
They haven't announced my character yet. I know, and the true diehard fans have asked over and over where I fit in that world. But we also know that there is, Victoria Cord is in there. It's played by Susan Sarandon. It's just, the Cord Industries is in there. And we know that Blue Beetle, obviously, Chola is amazing and fantastic. And Bruna plays, Victoria's niece. And so we know that. There's a lot of things happening they have to do with the main core. All roads lead to Cord.
I love that. I love that. So Nightwing is obviously known for a very strong fighting style, the Esquire 6, but Guillermo is also a complete badass with a lot of great fighting style. You fought Nandor. Are there any other What We Do in the Shadows cast members you would like to throw a fist at?
I've fought Nandor twice now, and twice I've overpowered him. So it just goes to show that Guillermo is very powerful in his human form with Van Helsing blood running through his veins, but very powerful, very much so in his own space. So I wonder what would happen if he became a 2.0 version of himself for whatever reason. It's just any other character that he would want to fight. Laszlo always pushes his buttons.
Yes.
So I feel like, but Laszlo would fight with the words, and it's like Gizmo, so maybe some kind of fight with Laszlo would be fun.
Wait, can I ask you to do your Laszlo impression one more time?
Of course you can, my darling.
Now, you and Kayvon Novak are very close, if the Instagram is to be believed. Do you ship Nandor and Guillermo the way that all of us watching the show do?
I do. I really do support, I've never worked with, cast that I'm so connected with, and especially with Kayvon. We never had a chemistry read together, and he's just never, we never had a chemistry read together. And the fact that he's been so lovely from the get-go and open and willing to, try anything in the scene. He's always like, you won't do it again, man. It's just like, you want that energy on set. You want that person to be your partner, because you trust them. It's a trust fall. And if I know that if I try something, you're not going to cut me short. You're literally there for me, So he's always been fantastic. And I do ship it. I do think that they have love for each other. The characters have love for each other. What kind of love that is yet to be discovered. But I think that it's okay to see two men completely be in love with each other and not make it physical and normalize that. And I know that the fandom, really ships Guillermo, but I love the art that they create. I always post as much as I can. Thank you so much for all the art that you do. I always think it's so great when art inspires an artist. So it's like someone's creative idea of a short film became a feature thanks to Taika and Jermaine, and then became a TV series thanks to them. And then I get to act in it, and then because of my acting, it inspires an artist to take to pen and paper, and vice. It just keeps going. It's a chain reaction. So artists should support artists.
Also, you and Kayvon fairly recently went to Disneyland together.
Yes.
So I want to ask about that experience, but also what ride would Nandor and Guillermo take together?
Oh my gosh. Well, that was his first time ever at Disneyland. I was never been to Disneyland as an adult man. I was like, what? He's like, no, man, I've always wanted to go. And I was like, well, we're going to go. And he wanted to do every kid thing, like the corn dog, the ice cream. He wanted to do everything that you could imagine as a kid, at Disneyland. And I wanted to make it perfect for him. So I made reservations at the cool restaurant at Carthay, the private room upstairs. And he had the best time. And watching his reactions, like watching a child for the first time, because anyone who goes to Disneyland for the first time, you would take a look at their faces, and that's what you remember being like when you went for the first time. And so it was very nice to see that, and he had a great time. And I think of the ride that they would go on together in character for Nandor and Guillermo would probably be something like Splash Mountain or something. And he'd be like, Guillermo, my cape's all wet, and just like, and be dragging, Yeah.
I'm glad that you didn't say the Haunted Mansion, because honestly, that was the answer that I was expecting.
But that's an easy go-to. I feel like if I went to the Haunted Mansion, it's probably going to be like, Guillermo, why is our house here?
So What We Do in the Shadows has also been renewed through season 6. We're all rooting for 10, but if season 6 has to be the final season, since the pilot, Guillermo's been telling us that he wants to be a vampire. How would you like to see him meet his end?
Oh man, I mean that's tough, right? We have 2 more seasons to see if it goes, but who knows? It might go further than 6. It's so great that the network has loved us so much that they picked us up for 2 seasons back to back. So shout out to FX and 20th Century Fox and all of the company who loves and supports the show. If I were to kind of like think of a way to wrap it up, I would think that everyone gets what they want. And I think that's a perfect way of saying it without knowing what necessarily that is, because your wishes and desires might end tomorrow or change tomorrow for a different reason. So what you want today or who you are today won't be who you are tomorrow, and you're definitely not tomorrow who you were yesterday.
So here in the Popverse, we like to celebrate the best in TV, movies, and comics. So the last thing I want to ask you is, what are you geeking out about right now that you're not working on?
Ooh, that's a tough one. What am I geeking out? I mean, I'm geeking out of like what's happening with shifts and stuff and potential new creations of DC worlds, and so I'm really looking forward to that, and potentially, I don't know, multiverse it to a version of like being in everything at once.
Harvey Guillen, thank you so much for joining us here today in the Popverse. Lastly, can you let everyone know where they can find you online, where they can check out that booty, and where they can best support you?
You can check out my booty on Instagram and Twitter, and just my full name at Harvey Guillen.
Thank you so much for joining us here at Emerald City Comic Con, and we will see you next time.